Hey there, welcome to Something About Tabletop. Sorry about that, accidentally muted myself. That's embarrassing. So basically, I'm going to be doing a series after some positive reviews and just to really get a more in-depth look on my pantheon that I've created. Um, Pretty much, I'm going to be doing most, if not all, of the gods. Talk about them more in depth. The main subjects that I'm going to be doing for each of these are exactly their looks, personality, what they command, in terms of their powers or such, his followers, and their preferred looks, weapons, even classes, his minions or the people that he commands, if he that kind of thing, and his relationships with the other 13 gods. This is 14 in total in my pantheon. If you haven't seen the original video, I'll put a link to the original video in the description below, which is a overview of all of the gods, a very short one. I'm going to be covering the stuff the same that I did in the last one, but that's just how things are. Just so you know, if you go straight to this video. Anyway, so Elcris is the god of nature, but he's not a traditional god of nature. He is the god of the duality of nature, the life and death of nature. He is all about pretty much the harshness of nature and that it is never fair. And he's all about you need to earn something to be able to get something. His looks, he is usually depicted as an old, withered man made of wood, usually with a long beard made of leaves and such like that. And he usually wears a crown of large stag horns, with one side usually adorned with flowers and birds and things, and then his other usually cracked and warped. Both of his sides are dual, like his personality, but the center, where his heart is an ever glowing, like a greenish, whitish light, usually depicted with his hands outstretched, clearly showing his hands. Other than that, his sign is a tree of life with long, deep roots, each with the duality of nature, one with good side, one with bad side. Usually his left is depicted as his good, and his right is depicted as his bad side. Well, not necessarily bad, but the harshness, the evil of nature. And then the left side, basically life and death. He is also in some way a non-traditional god of life and death. He isn't necessarily the god that created life. He isn't necessarily God that created death, but he is the one about the cycle. He guides people through the cycle. That's his looks. His personality. He is an incredibly stern god. He has a very blank view of the world. Death means nothing to him. He does not wallow in death. He very rarely does any resurrection, even though some of his patrons use healing magic. They say if it's meant to die, it's meant to die. Unless, of course, some kind of corrupted evil magic did this. He is fairly against, or not completely against, arcane magic or magic outside of God's views. So, as a whole, basically, if it's not natural magic, magic given by birth, but magic that is learnt, he looks at it with a bit of basically this magic, basically anything that affects something that is unnatural, he's not a fan of. So as a whole, humanity, or basically, well, not just human specifically, but elves, dwarves, all that kind of stuff, he doesn't tend to like either, because of their ability to be able to disrupt the world. When something does disrupt him, he usually gets his minions, his followers and stuff, to cut down those people that did, or he does it personally. What he commands. Elcris has power over all nature, the evil and the bad sides of it. Usually the types of damage that his clerics and stuff will usually be throwing down will be something like radiant, or poison, or necrotic even, sending someone straight to death. Seeing as he is quite a destructive god when it comes to it, some people view him with, a bit of distrust. Only certain kinds of people can worship him. Now, his followers. So his followers are usually the nature types. So you've got things like barbarians, druids, rangers, and clerics. Of course, anyone can worship him. Fighters and stuff like that might own their way. But the thing with Elcris's beliefs and what their clerics believe mainly is that you can only take something if you have given something. They are all about the one-for-one trade, and they have to earn something before they get it. They hate taking handouts. But if, say, they just went through a hardship, they will generally take something because they just got through that hardship, because they believe, Elcris's followers believe in a very strong sense of karma, which is you get what you get. If you do something bad, bad stuff will happen to you. If you do something good, good stuff will happen to you. But if something bad happens to you, good stuff will happen. And if something good happens to you, eventually bad something is going to happen. This is the duality of Elcris. But they generally don't resent him for these kind of things happening. They just view as this is the way as it should be. Generally, his clerics and things like that prefer the way of the bow because that is the hunting implement. Elcris can be seen sometimes as the god of the hunt, as long as you take well respects to things that you die. Generally, quick prayers, basically dust to dust, let this creature feed me so I may move on, let the cycle of life move on forever. The cycle of life is incredibly important for all of his followers, and ones that don't take it too important, we'll see if they have any abilities stripped upon them, any magic that he has given them. His minions. So he doesn't necessarily have minions or followers, but Elcris created most of nature, or at least helped create it. And he actually is the god. Well, I wouldn't really call him the god of death, but he speaks to spirits and stuff that have fallen. So his minions are that of spirits, animal spirits, spirits are from humanity that were his followers, or maybe that are redeeming themselves for the things that they have done in their past. Sometimes he can be seen as the god of limbo. If you have done something right, he takes you under his wing to make sure that you do. Pay back your debts, that kind of thing. If you have taken too much in life, when you go to death, Elcris will take over your spirit and make it so that you pay back. He is all about that equality, and he is an obsession with neutrality. So his minions are usually spirits which take over people's bodies temporarily. Anytime that they do so, they also help that person. So say if a spirit had to take over someone's body to go on a short quest, after that quest, that spirit's going to help that person just to pay that back. Per se, if Elcris is going to possess a deer, that deer is probably going to eat incredibly well and probably not going to get hunted for a long, decent amount of time, even if it was just something simple for him to see through his eyes. He pays back every single thing that he does, almost to the point of obsession. Now, his relationships with the other gods. It's a rocky one with most of the more malevolent gods, things like Vindicus. He utterly hates anyone that takes more, Drelzabar, stuff like that. Drelzabar, the god of arcane magic, language, and commerce, hates. Not to mention Balgor, the god of revelry, festivities, and harvest. He hates because Balgor is all about having massive, massive, massive feasts, while most followers and things like that of Elcris and Elcris himself only take what they need. So generally, they won't partake in alcohol and things like that. They'll just, cherry pick what they need. I only need a bit of bread and drink. They're not going to go crazy at a pub, have massive amounts of meat and alcohol. It's just not their thing. It's not like they don't enjoy it. It's just simply they only take what they need. So Balgor, he utterly hates, despises anyone seeking vengeance, things like Valturus and stuff like that, or anyone that puts their beliefs so forward that they are furthering an agenda and disrupting the force. They pretty much hate entirely. He does have a pretty good relationship with Celeste, the god of sacrifice and selflessness, because a lot of his followers are as well. And Maestan, he doesn't hate at all because he is just the god of the shadows. He doesn't expand. He simply exists where he is. He never pushes himself. Elcris also hates entirely basically the teachings of Asmodeus, because they teach one to always think of yourself first, to make yourself a better being. Sometimes it can be at the detriment of others, and thus Elcris doesn't have a very good relationship. So generally because of his hatred, not so much hatred, but distrust, unlikingness, I guess, of the other gods, he tends to himself and with his animals and things like that. Anyway, so that's Elcris. Sorry if this was a bit all over the place, just my thoughts on the god. I didn't exactly write anything down, I kind of just went with this. Any other questions that you have about Elcris, go ahead. He is probably one of my more favorite gods that I've created because of He is intense. I guess he doesn't really have a split personality per se, even though he has two sides. But he is quick to hand out the good and quick to hand out the bad to people that deserve it. Some people sometimes see him as a god of justice, but not the traditional justice like, you need to go to court. It's the justice of nature. Anyway, that's Elcris. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do next, but I'm thinking I might put up a video on Droltabar, the god of greed, power, and magic. Anyway, this is something about tabletop. If you guys enjoyed this, just comment below. Maybe if there's any of the other gods from the previous videos you'd like to see, comment below. And any other tips and stuff. Right now, I'm probably just going to be using Google Hangouts to do these, as it's quick and easy. The quality is probably not that great. Definitely in the future, when I get a better mic, maybe get a better camera, I'll definitely start doing more one-on-one solo stuff. But at this point, because of the low quality of my current camera, I don't see a point of doing recording that's outside of Google Hangouts. Anyway, thanks for watching. It's been great.